This week's Benefice Bulletin offers a piece entitled Spiritual Disciplines to Support and Strengthen Our Christian Lives. Ignatius of Loyola, the saint we celebrate today, is perhaps most famous for his spiritual exercises, a work which details a method, a discipline for that support and strengthening. It is a method grounded in his own spiritual experience, and one that has been found fruitful by many Christians from the mid-16th century to the present. Ignatius was a Basque nobleman born in about 1491. According to one of his early biographers, whose work is grounded in conversations with Ignatius, as a young man the saint-to-be was given up to the vanities of this world, and his chief delight used to be in the exercise of arms, with a great and vain desire to gain honour. That delight and that desire led to his being grievously wounded at the siege of Pamplona in 1521. Painful operations on his damaged legs followed, and then a lengthy convalescence, during which he experienced a conversion from his former way of life to a life of wholehearted religious commitment. The process of that conversion had much to do with Ignatius's noticing his different reactions to the thoughts prompted by the only reading matter available to him as he convalesced, a life of Christ and a book of saints' lives, and the thoughts that came to him from his memories of the tales of chivalry he had been accustomed to read and the chivalric mindset those stories had helped to shape. Whilst he could be absorbed pleasurably in both kinds of thoughts for long periods, when he turned away from the one kind, the worldly sort, he found himself dry and discontented, and when from the other kind, the religious, he remained happy and contented. This experience was a starting point for Ignatius's teaching the discernment of spirits, the proper assessment of feelings of spiritual consolation and desolation. Are they of God or of the devil? So, because good and holy thoughts and the consolation that comes with them may be given by the bad angel seeking to draw the soul into his hidden snares and his perverted purposes, we must pay close attention to the whole course of our thoughts. If the beginning, middle and end are entirely good and tend towards what is wholly right, this is a sign of the good angel. But if the course of the thoughts suggested to us leads finally to something bad or distracting or less good than what one had previously intended to do, or if in the end the person is weakened, upset or distressed, losing the peace, tranquility and quiet previously experienced, all this is a clear sign of the bad spirit, the enemy of our progress and eternal well-being. Once one has discerned the enemy at work, one should retrace one's thought sequence to see how the enemy contrived, little by little, to make the soul fall away from the state of gentleness and spiritual joy she was in. There is in this Ignatian encouragement to discernment of spirits an implicit trust in the power of an individual's introspection to discover truth as to their spiritual condition. Ignatius also trusts the imaginative capacities of the individual to elicit spiritual profit from an entry into scenes from the life of Christ, contemplation of which forms the bulk of the exercise Ignatius proposes for the 4 weeks or so envisaged for the whole process described in the spiritual exercises. So, for instance, point 1 of a contemplation on the Nativity. This is to see the people, i.e. Our Lady and Joseph and the servant girl, and the child Jesus after his birth. Making myself into a poor and unworthy little servant, I watch them and contemplate them, and serve them in their needs as if I were present, with all possible submission and reverence, and afterwards I reflect within myself to derive some profit. Ignatius believes that through this personal imaginative engagement with the story, the person reflecting may come upon things that throw more light on the history, or better bring home its meaning. This is more gratifying and spiritually profitable than if the director, guiding the individual, had explained and developed at length the meaning of the history, for it is not so much knowledge that fills and satisfies the soul, but rather the intimate feeling and relishing of things. The purpose of the spiritual exercises is to allow the individuals undertaking them to generate insights and felt apprehensions which promote a liberation from disordered attachments, such as Ignatius's own early vainglory, a liberation which allows individuals to seek and find the divine will in regard to the disposition of their life for the good of the soul, and finding that divine will enable people to fulfill the purposes for which they are created, that is, to praise, reverence and serve God our Lord, and by so doing to save his or her soul. These are general purposes we all share, but accomplish in different ways. Your disordered attachments are not exactly the same as mine, and neither is the appropriate and godly disposition of your life. The power and attractiveness of the Ignatian understanding of the spiritual life lies very much in its recognition of our differing individualities. The proper way of doing the spiritual exercises is one-on-one with a director, and in its trust in our capacity as individuals to discern spirits in their particular operation in our particular lives, and to discover what is particularly meaningful for us in reflecting on scenes from Christ's life. A 30-day Ignatian retreat may be rather more spiritual discipline than we can undertake right now, but getting into a gospel scene or two, as Ignatius suggests, would surely support and strengthen our Christian lives. With no thoughts for the day in August and fewer benefice parties, there's time enough to give it a go.